Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself and my group. My name is Farhan, and beside me is Muhammad Faza, and the other is Balgies Kolbi, which will be also introduced in this video later on. So the topic of our discussion today is about the education in Indonesia, in which our Ministry of Education and Culture, Nadiem Makarim, decided to replace our systematic education in senior high school and below with the new system, which is minimum assessment competition and characteristic survey. So these changes has two different states, which is about literation and numeration, in which literation doesn't mean that we are studying of how to read, but studying the way to analyze text, and numeration is not just counting, but it's about analyzing numbers to create some other things. Now, uh, assessment minimum computation. The Ministry of our Education decided to make this with the partnership of PISA, or the long form is Program of International Students Assessment, and also TIMSI, which is Trends in International Mathematics and Science Study. All this is created by one organization, which is OECD, or the Organization of Economic Cooperation Development. Now, in this system, it is said that uh, we are going to hone our skill in analyzing and train the way of our thinking, not just memorizing, in which national examination today, as a student, I realized that it is more of a memorizing than learning and honing our skill of thinking. And so this also caused a lot of high stress level in Indonesia, through the data, which is also found that many suicides have happened in Indonesia because of the high stress level of national examination, in which some students who get last mark and they didn't pass their high school or senior high school, and many others, is the cause of national examination. So according to the data that I've found, the education in Indonesia is very low ranked. So in the base of rank, Indonesia is in the 72 of 76. Uh, so we can see that this is very low. And OECD also have a data of average rate education in Indonesia, the performance of our education in literature, numeration, and also science. The average rate is 487 in literature, 489 in numeration, and 489 in science performance. But meanwhile, in Indonesia, we are below the average, scoring 371 in literature performance, 379 in numeration performance, and 396 in science performance, which this is very, very low. So we can also see that in Indonesia has a lot of variety and race. So there is a lot of people with different skills and ability. So with national examination, I don't think it is really successful in bringing the greater goods of our student, and in bringing birth of uh, new students, new generations in creativity and innovative and smart. But they are only honing the skill of memorizing, that is which I think that is wrong. So uh, with this kind of new system, we are making a better process of forming human personality. And think about it, if there is some students who are very good in their academic, and they follow the national examination, in which they are good at maths and they want to be math teacher or they want to hone their skill in math, it is good. But think if a student is better in the performance of sports like athletic, their ability is very good in physical. So the national examination doesn't really help his performance in the ability, but on the other hand, it slows him down in following his dream in the sports academic. So and the other thing, the other issue, it will be discussed by my friend Balgies and my other friend Muhammad Faza.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the continuous things about my friends' opinions, arguments, and data that have been delivered by my friends Farhan before about the replacements, abolitions, or eliminations the national examination for students. Especially, I want to talk about the developed time when the eliminations and abolitions of national examinations it was exist. The abolitions or the discourse of the elimination of national examinations was exist in 2005, and then years by years was developed, and in 2013 the abolition of national examinations was secondly carried out during the Ministry of Education and Cultures, Muhammad Nu. He says that he abolished the national examinations for elementary school, secondary school, and its equivalents because there are a lot of negative things happens as the impact of national examinations since it is exists. And in years after that, in 2015, the discourse on the eliminations of the national examinations re-emerged when Anies Baswedan was still serving as the Ministry of Education and Cultures. According to him, the ministry will change the concept and the system of national examinations. So, national examination, or we can call it as usually UN, is no longer an instrument used as a 100% indicator of graduation for students, but instead he used the UN as the tool of learning for the students. Anies Baswedan says that when the national examinations become the only indicator, the only determinants of graduations, there are a lot of students, there are many students are distressed and full of pressure because of hard thinkings and big anxiety about facing the national examinations. And the impact of that, there are a lot of kind of cheating and something like that is happened, and that is what the government will evaluate about the national examinations. Anies Baswedan said in 2015 on 23 of January, and then in this day, today, in these periods of governments, the former CEO of Gojek Indonesia, Nadiem Makarim, discussed about the eliminations of the implementations national examination for the students that will be realized after 2020. According to Nadiem, his party received a lot of aspirations from the teachers, students, and parents who wanted to improve the concept and the system of national examinations for the students to be better in order to avoid the negative things, because there are a lot of impact of national examination today or since the national examination was accessed, there are a lot of impact was happened. For example, like someone or some students kill themselves, or like commit suicide or some things because of the depressed thinking, depressed things, or big anxiety to face the national examinations. So that the governments want to change that. uh, the government thinks that national examination is no longer becoming the instruments of an indicator of graduation for students. Even 100% become the indicator of graduation for students, and that's what the things that students burden burden things on that situations to face the national examinations, because if they don't reach the minimum score of national examination, they couldn't continue, or they couldn't continue to the next stage of their educations. So that's what is becoming a burden for the student itself, especially for the parents who is funding the students or something. So that the government want to eliminate, want to abolish about the national examination to be better, especially in its concept and its systems, to become uh, better for the students learnings. And also, beside of negative things, the positive things of national exams, since we have is very 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 small, or even nothing advantageous about that on that. So that the government want to replace the system and the concept of national examinations. Okay, probably that's all from me about this case, which has the replacement, abolitions, or elimination of national examinations. uh, Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Based on the explanation of two of my friends before, I agree with our new minister of the education and the culture, Nadima Kari, to replace the national examination into the minimum assessment of competition and the characteristics survey. And I think that, in my critical thought, I think that it will be so much better if we can change the national examination since like 2005 probably, because the replacement or the evaluation or the deleting of the national examination, it's become like the plans, like the ongoing plans that have been planned since like 2005. But right now, finally, our new minister is have a courage decision to do it in 2021. Because why I agree with this decision, because I think there's a lot of the negative thing that happened to the students in junior high school, in elementary school, especially in senior high school who want to go into the college. They are feel so frustrated while they are waiting for the announcement of the graduations, because they are just look at the base on the value based on the grade, that I think it doesn't necessary at all in the college later. The reason why the Nadia Makarim is want to change the national examination into the minimum assessment competition and the character survey, because I think that he might think that it will be a better choice for the generation in the future, not just to memorizations, but we are taught to analyze it about something, because all of these times the national examination is a purpose just to memorizing, and we have to like answer the multiply a task that after they graduate they will never use it anymore. The Nadia Makarim is want to make a cooperate with the partnership with the PISA or the program of the new student internship inter-student in based on the literacy and the numeric standard. So the minimum assessment and the competition is about we are understand about the literacy and the numeric stuff. The literacy is we are learning and we understand based on the text or the about we are analyzing about the text or discourse or about something that it can make us understand about the informations. And about the numeric analysis we are have to dealing with the analysis about the numbers. That's the purpose is we are using our logic to calculate it and the numbers to become something logically to sum of the case in our society. And uh, why I agree with this decision, because a lot of the negative thing that lead to the frustration and depression to the student, and it will lead to the death of a lot of the student in the back years, in the back years later, in the back years before. A lot of the victims, especially the student who become so stressed of the national examination and they are suicide. And I think with this case, Nadia Makarim is looking for the way out. That the best way is to change the national examination. We are trying to like replace the national examination into something new, like the other country have been like the other country have been detached with the new of this program based on the PISA, the program of inter-student who understand more about the student needed. We should have to like thoughts, or we have to like give a lot of the thoughts about something that we are like, not just the things about uh, the thing that we are just needed on the school, like the math of the physics. For the student who doesn't have a good grade on the national examination, they must be feeling stupid compared to the other student who get the best score in national examination. That is the reason why I agree with the replacement of national examination, because it will like if you get a bad score in national examination, it doesn't mean that you are stupid. It means that your passion or your interest is not in that subject, right? Because in the national examination we are just like learning like a four subject like a mathematics, language and the English language, and the last is the is the option of the subject that you want to choose, such as like the biology, physics, or like a chemistry. It depends on that. But if you are feel that you are not suitable or not match with a part of that subject, it doesn't mean that you are stupid. You must you must be like um you must be have an interest in something like you probably get into like technology or the computers, or you more relatable with the literacy, and or probably that you are like to drawing. It doesn't mean that you are stupid. That what that is the purpose that Nadia Makamis want to erase, that every person, each of the student is have their own unique. So I think that I think that it totally makes sense that yeah, because there's a lot of the member in the government, it doesn't agree the replacement of the national examination, because they are said, and a lot of the people often said we doesn't agree with the replacement of the replacement of the unite of the national examination is because there is no standardizer of the education. I think that is wrong. The standard of the standard of the education it it doesn't have to be like the national examination. A lot of the things that we can make to be the standardizer for the for the students to fulfill the things that they are loved to become more independent in the future later. So so the conclusion in this issues is I want to encourage all of the students who doesn't or who have already bad score about or who already have a bad score in the national examination. Probably you don't have to be you, you don't have to be ashamed because probably that is not your passion. This is like the best way that our new ministers can do to make the replacement of the national examination into the minimum assessment of competition and characteristics survey. And I think that it's gonna be running well, not like the national examination who makes a lot of the victims because of the frustration and depressions. Whereas not of the student who like or get into the subjects that they are taught in the schools, like a math, scientific, or or probably the language. A lot of the student is looking for the patient, but the school is just like give the limited choice for that. That is the reason why the minimum assessment the competition is access. We just like to make a division like the other country who has met by this one, and I think that I just agree. That is the conclusion for these issues, and I think that all of you can understand about this. This is just our opinion, and I think that based on our opinion that you can have another perspective about the replacement of national examination. It depends on you want to agree or not. Just hope and believe to our new Minister of Education that he will do something great in the future later. Thank you.
Okay, that is the end of our discussions with the topic of education. So, hope you understand our discussions today, and don't forget to like,
Comment.
Subscribe.
and hit that bell button. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dadah.